Hello, welcome to this video. This is Unzadani. So in this video we are going to talk about the properties of water. Water, we know that it's a solvent, so there are actually properties that make it a suitable solvent and be able to support life on earth. So let's go with the properties of water now. So water has unusual properties because of its structure. Because of its structure. So many of the properties of water are attributed to its dipolar nature. So let's go with the first property of water, which we're going to go universal solvent. So first property number one, solvent. So what does it mean when we say water is a solvent? This means that water can dissolve many substances, especially polar molecules. So as we know, molecules are just those molecules that have opposite charges. They are charged. These are the polar molecules. So examples of polar molecules are sodium chloride, which is salt, normal salt. So we have amino acids, which other one, and sugar. So these polar ones are called hydrophilic. So this means that these polar molecules, they are able to face water. They don't run away from the water surface. They are able to come into contact with the water molecules. So we also have these that we call hydrophobic, which are called non-polar. Cannot dissolve in water under code hydrophobic. This just means water heating, and these hydrophobic molecules, they can't face the water molecules. It's more like they are embedded inside, they are enclosed inside the water molecule. They can't face the water molecule, they don't come into contact with the water. That's why we call them hydrophobic in nature. So let's go to the next property of water. So the second one is what we call high heat capacity. High heat capacity. So what is heat capacity? So heat capacity is amount of energy required to raise the temperature of water by 1 degrees Celsius. So there's also what we call specific heat capacity. Is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram water to 1 degrees Celsius. So this means that when you have a water molecule, when you heat water, you require the amount of heat that is required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degrees Celsius. That is what we call the specific heat capacity. And this specific heat capacity of water is actually, let's write the specific heat water capacity. It's actually 4.2 joules per gram per degrees Celsius. So this is the amount. So that means that you require 4.2 joules of energy to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degrees Celsius. So why does water require a high specific heat capacity? Why is it that water has got this high specific heat capacity? So this is because some energy is required to break the hydrogen bonds that hold the water molecules together. So it has high specific heat capacity because a lot of energy is required to break hydrogen bonds that hold water molecules. So you require a lot of heat to break these hydrogen bonds. So this property of water for high specific heat capacity is actually what supports the life in the water. This supports life in water. Water. So the other property of water is what we call latent heat of vaporization. So the third property, third one, vaporization. So this is just energy needed to change water from liquid to gas state, to the gas state. So it requires a lot of heat that is needed to make this water be changed from the liquid to the gas state because of the hydrogen bonds that hold the water molecules together. So this has a cooling effect in organisms. So in humans we have got what we call sweating. Okay. Sweating in animals and transpiration in plants. So another one is density. Another property of water that you have to look at is what we call density. So how is the density of water? Actually, water is denser in the liquid state than in the solid state. So this means that ice floats on liquid water. So ice is able to float on the liquid water, and this is why you find fish in water that is cold, like in the seas where you find fish are there in the water, but they are not dying. It's because this ice is floating on liquid water. So when you go down the water surface, you find that water is still in the liquid state. So that's what we call by density of water, because you find some other molecules, they are more denser in the solid state than in the liquid. But for water, it's a different case. That's why it has got a unique property. So let's also look at what we call cohesion properties of water. So this one was it the fourth property of water? So the other one is cohesion. Okay, cohesion and adhesion. Let's use a red color now. So adhesion, excuse me, let's rub here, write it properly. So adhesion is a property of water, allows water to stick to walls of the container. So this property adhesion is the one that allows unlike molecules to stick together, like water is able to stick to the walls of the container. So we also have what we call cohesion. Cohesion. So this one allows like molecules to stick together. So cohesion is the property of water that allows water molecules to be able to stick to one another. So the cohesive and adhesion properties is what allows the water to be able to be transported through small tubes, because water is able to stick to the walls of the xylem vessels. So we also have what we call the surface tension, which is the last property that we are going to look at. So surface tension. So surface tension, what is this surface tension? So this one just allows water molecules to exert forces on each other. They are able to exert forces in each other. So these forces that exist between water molecules is what allows actually insects to walk on the surface of water. So we also have to look at other property of water, which is what we call pH of water. So the pH of water is is about 7.4. So that means that pure water has got a neutral pH, and water is sensitive to pH changes. Pure water is not buffered at a neutral pH. Water not buffered at neutral pH. Water is not buffered at neutral pH. So actually water partially ionizes. That's why it's weak in terms of buffering. Ionizes partially. So these are the properties of water that support life. I hope you've enjoyed the video on the properties of water. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you see the other videos that will be coming in biology. Thank you for watching the video.